Welcome. Great. Media executive. Okay, so I was going to talk about killing some concepts. This is a group 10. And at that time, there were students at the University of Lagos, dancing across the world, and many more. They to give us a live performance. Please appreciate them as they come in. Let us appreciate. They've been at it for a long time. It takes courage.
sugar.
Stop that news. Fire squad. Make you go kill them now.
Because if we kill all these small things, where they thief my and sugar, what about our monkey, our snake, and our rat for our office, and all those big things, where they thief 200
If you like $12 billion, are you sabi?
Sorry, I mean 20 kobo.
Why?
Nothing.
You dey fear?
I'm not a fear. Mark, we just play this for come off for here.
Hey,
We are waiting.
Go home from.
That is to say, when we play domestic football, Papa go travel, go abroad, go work for wages.
Mama go Dubai, go do business. They go leave pikin at home with uncle. Whenever he comes to our house, he comes with a nylon of sliced bread, milk, and egg. He knew my default.
Uncle.
Uncle, we all call him. You know, sometimes when you are walking or sitting, you can be 90% sure that someone is staring at you. It happened for a while, but he was too smart to be caught. I later caught him for the first time staring at me while I was bathing. But I was not so certain. Before I could wash off the soap on my face, he fled.
Am I mad? Eh? What am I thinking? Eh? She's supposed to be my father's daughter because I'm my uncle. Eh, but she's old enough. Eh? Her breasts have grown so big that I could hardly recognize it. And there's nothing here. Same was done to me when I was younger than she.
Second time was the day I asked Uncle to help zip up my dress. We were at home alone. I was 14. Dad and Mom had traveled as usual and invited me to come watch over me. The home was almost desolate. Uncle was meant to keep an eye on me, but unfortunately, his was the eye that was meant to be kept away. I ran to him. Uncle, please could you pick up my dress for me?
No problem.
I turned my back, no response. I waited for a while, maybe he was still. I turned around and I was transfixed. Uncle.
Oh, my dear, your zip, I'm sorry, right away. Hey, my dear, what type of drink do you have?
Excuse me,
You become very, very right. Don't you dream of having children someday?
I do, Uncle.
Look, the custom of our family says, until your uncle approves of it, you cannot have children. Same was not to your mother and I own your uncle. And remember what your father said, that I am your second daddy. He told me to do whatever I say without argument. So, can I be sleeping?
I was transfixed. I didn't quite understand what he meant. But on the other hand, I understood him perfectly. Uncle had been staring at my whole body while I turned away. Then he asked again.
Can I be sleeping?
No, I answered. Before I could say Jack, Uncle had carried me, placed me on the ground. I could not even fight. I
for presidential post for the second time. Listen very carefully. We are going to sing and dance to the glory of God. Right about now, let me invite Minister Ore to lead us in praise and worship. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Somebody. God bless you.
I'm a liar in my country. Everybody knows me well. If you look me up and down, you will see that I lie. She's a liar for our country. All of us know her well. If she lied for them and now, all of us will lie.
Politician in my country.
Politician.
Right to win all cases. As the Chief Justice, you will know she's my friend.
Mr. Politician of my future, he come by your ground, he call you super blue, from my parents for their house.
Happy day.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day.
Happy day.
Oh, happy day.
God bless you. Testify to the glory of the Lord.
Na jeje I go watch for.
Watch for.
Police catch me for corner. Like say I be a robber, one criminal take me to prison. Police catch our sister, na master degree holder. Them like us, them not say welcome. Jail and free politician be.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
we go carry you from your classroom to toilet, yes, from hellfire to heaven, yes, and from sitting room to the other room. Last but not the least, how many of them want to make our friend present? Una know why friend first? Because una know the banner. Sake of this, I go provide generator for every citizen for this country, even their own children. Yes. When I come give una this generator, una go dey buy fuel. Fuel price go reduce, and we go get like 24/7.
Please, first of all, let's say one
Hey, don't stop.
administration. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand that we have fast growth in our nation, and so also we have bad growth up there in the airspace. That's why our prayers have been hindered so far. So when we get into office, I will ensure that I tally all the airspace.
Wow.
Una didn't understand. Oh, okay. Una know say when una dey pray, una prayer no dey answer. You know why?
Why?
Now because as we take get pothole for ground, now we take get pothole for hall. Now my candidate on the side say once we enter office, we go tap all the airspace. Yes. Once una come dey pray, your prayer go dey go up.
Thank you. Second time on my manifesto to solve the problem of potable drinking water in our society. I will provide for every home iron standing water.
Okay. How una dey take fresh water? Una dey suffer. Me and my candidate come beside say once we enter office, na like this una go dey fresh water.
Thank you. And of course, I promise to ensure that we have abundance of mineral resources in this nation.
Yes. Una no coke. You no Fanta. You no Sprite. My people una like us. Once you open that iron standing water, na wetin go dey come out.
And last but not the least, I understand that we have all been bickering in this country going back and forth on the issue of our national allocation and the sharing of our national gain. True, there's the solution. Once my administration gets into office, we take this beautiful nation, mortgage it, and then the proceeds we will share it equally amongst every citizen. And when we are done, we will dispatch you to any country of your choice.
Na good news. Una know say everybody want their share of their national cake. Yes. So as me and my candidate, we no be greedy people. We don decide say once we enter office like this, we go just carry this our nation, put am on top toilet, sell it. Once we come sell am finish like this, we go give everybody their share of the money. We never finish. Once we come give you their share, we go send you go different country.
What to steal? Ajakaboro, Alawakabashoko, Beko, Olikoye, Fawahime, Falano, Odumaki, Sarobuwa, and Ogunai. They spoke, they fought, they wrote and laughed. But democracy lost its life of men. Last week, I had children under the age of 16 got their PVC. Last month, I heard in the state of 20,000 people, a man got 40,000 people. Last year, a friend was told he must have his PhD before he can register in the political. Last year, a friend was told he must have his PhD before he can register in the political party. Many months ago, Yorubas were not allowed to vote in the north. The Hausas were not allowed to vote in the west. The Igbos were not allowed to vote in Benue. And the Okojas were not allowed to vote in Lafia. All for what, if I may ask? When colors and creeds dictate the game, democracy will not survive. When vigils and prayers replace your PVC, democracy will not survive. When schools are on strike and more churches are built, democracy will not survive. When doctors sit at home and legislators are paid to sit, democracy will not survive. When I pay to vote, I run, I get shot. I stumble, I get blunt, speaking my throat. Democracy will not survive. When the cripple becomes the sports minister, they blind the INEC chairman, they dump the minister of information, democracy will not survive. When election is free and unfair, my right to despair, my expression of the check, democracy will not survive. When the young forgets the vision and agrees to meet in cross with frustration, raising their hands in appreciation to the killers of their generation, democracy will not survive. We have enough for our need, but it can never be enough because of our greed.
Before my forefathers were born, they said he would come. My forefathers did. Still, they believed he would come.
Right when our fathers, they had the same thing. He would come. Our fathers lived, yet believed he would come.
Then came us as infants. Same song. His coming is near. 58 years after, and we still await his coming.
Match it into a big wallpaper. Pack and seal it with roses. In a Louis Vuitton bag. That same package our fathers and forefathers accepted. We have smelled it and it smells. We give you back your baggage. Our brains are too old to go.
Do not trade your vote for a bag of rice. 5,000 naira from a political party cannot feed you forever.
Say no to political talking. Politicians will use you and trap you because you do not matter to them.
Their kids are never around during election.
They do not use guns to steal ballot boxes.
Don't sell your vote. Let your thumb speak justice.
If you are hungry today, take pride in your hunger, but you rest and you will see it tomorrow.
Get your PVC. Vote wisely. And as you vote, think of your children's children. And for a moment, forget your pocket.
Because I love to see that day, when my sweat and tears will speak justice, when my creativity and innovation would be appreciated, and when my knowledge would be put to good use.
Because I long to see that day. When my right as a human being will be prioritized. And not judged by what life is doing in time.
Because I long to see that day. When square pegs will be removed from their round holes and placed in the right place.
Because I long to see that day. When my rights would be my rights. And when Nigeria will welcome our first female president.
Because I long to see that day. When public ignorance, disobedience, and mediocrity will be a thing of the past.
Because I long to see that day. When one love will hear our King song. In unity, faith, peace, and progress.
Because I long to see that day when accountability, responsibility, fairness, honesty, and unity will be our watchword.
Because I long to see that day. When the makers of law will be law abiding. And when the makers of clothes will cease to wear rags.
It is time for the young and old to walk side by side like corridors of power and say to each other, we must bring back the glory of our nation.
It is a dead end. Either Nigeria survives or you break it. Break the yoke and break the law. Break the abnormality in our blood, in our system that has become normal.
Break the hindrances to our growth, tear it and remake.
That was packed. We appreciate giving so concerts again. Domestic violence, few time, especially at the Utide. So many. So we can go ahead. Thank you. Today they're working in different places and they've honed their skill. If this is all we did here today, we all have enough to chew on. We all have enough to reporting. It was first held in October 2000 and a tradition in the Nigerian media through sectors of the nation's life. It has so far rewarded the organizers of the award program, the Wole Soyinka Center, many times. This is one woman, he deserves this award of recognition from journalists from Premium Times. I see the bunch finalists from radio, and that tells a lot. It speaks a lot about. Let me recognize mass communication. You know him. Omaro Pate. With us is a human rights activist, a member of the panel of judges, other than Miss Ayo Obe. Before I met him again in South Africa, but virtual. He's so celebrated over there. Recently, I met a professor of mass communication in Nigeria. Continually proud of another female, hardworking, remarkable, distinguished. I recognize you all. At this juncture, let me quickly, the Investigative Reporting Awards for journalists who sent in, for those who've excelled in the media and the fight, you already know. But just should you be stepping in at this juncture, off and on air.
Funke treasure is indeed a treasure. Distinguished guests, award finalists, honorary recipients, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome you all on behalf of the Board of Trustees of Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism to the 13th Wole Soyinka Award for Investigative Reporting. The Wole Soyinka Award for Investigative Reporting is an annual event which had its maiden edition in October 2005. The award presentation event is held annually on December 9, the World Anti-Corruption Day and Eve of the World Human Rights Day, to call attention to the significance of the media generally and investigative reporting in particular to attaining good governance, accountability, and social justice, while celebrating the reporters at the center of the mix. Other activities of the center include Wole Soyinka Media Lecture Series, which is also an annual event, training in various aspects of investigative writing as well as reporting on gender and promoting gender democracy. I would love to run through major highlights of this year at the center. The center, in partnership with the Natural Resource Governance Institute, held editors' roundtable on oil and gas in May of this year to engage the gatekeepers on its findings on the reportage of the oil and gas sector. We also held stakeholders meetings and training for journalists on the reportage of basic education and electricity in June of this year. The 10th Wole Soyinka Center Media Lecture Series, held on Friday, 13th July, in commemoration of the 84th birthday of Professor Wole Soyinka, Africa's first Nobel laureate in literature. The theme for the year's lecture was Shooting the Drone Dallas, Conversations on Investigative Reporting and Accountability in times of conflict. Where good governance was profiled as the solution to conflict in the nation. Also in the year, the Gender and the Extractives Dialogue was organized for female journalists covering the Nigerian extractive sector to discuss how to give voice to women in men-dominated sector. The center also engaged students of mass communication from the University of Lagos, Unilag, Bayero University, Kano, and Ahmadu Bello University, Abu Zaria, on investigating basic education and electricity. In September, 8 of the students are currently undergoing internship with the center. In September, 1840 journalists were trained on the art of visual storytelling at a 2-day workshop so as to document realities in the basic education and electricity sector through photo stories. 20 female journalists, including a journalist from Ghana, were equipped to take leadership roles in the newsroom and the Report Women Network. The alumni body of the Report Women Female Reporters Leadership Program Fellowship was inaugurated in October 2018. The group held our first program, a tweet conference on women participation in politics, in November. The center was also well represented at the African Investigative Journalism Conference, an annual event organized by the Journalism Program of the University of Witwatersrand in South Africa, with Boturai Alaka, Center's coordinator, and Juliana Francis, a 2014 Investigative Reporter of the Year, taking speaking roles at the event. To the finalists of today and honorary award recipients, kindly accept my congratulations on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism. Thank you, everyone.
Commended for the 2-part story, him for his relentless investigations. And there is Mr. Russell Brooks, the Public Affairs Officer at the United States Consulate General Lagos. I'm going.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, everyone here, good evening. On behalf of the panel of judges, let me start by thanking you for honoring our invitation and also thank the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism for finding us worthy to participate in assessing the quality of entries made in this year's awards. In all, about 136 entries were made, cutting across the various categories. At the end of the day, we met and we've decided on the list that we presented to you shortly. For the judges, they came from various backgrounds, different areas, from the academia, human rights or civil society sector, from the media industry, and of course, from the general public. We debated amongst ourselves, we argued, at the end of the day, agreed on the list that, as I've said, we presented to you. We were guided by some principles. One, we looked at the relevance of the individual entries. We looked at the quality in terms of language, in terms of logic, in terms of presentation. We were also guided by the impact of the various entries. Then we looked at the diversity in terms of subjects, issues related to corruption, environment, and several other issues that bother the public. Like I've said, we argued extensively, but we were also bothered several other issues that bother the public. Like I've said, we argued extensively, but we were also bothered with the quality of a lot of the entries. In terms of language, like I've said earlier, some of the entries need a lot of improvement. Then we've also looked at the quality of the investigation themselves. One thing that appeared so prominent was that a lot of the entries depended on the EFCC, on ICPC, on several other bodies for reports, which many of the writers claim to be their own. Rather, we wanted to see topics or issues conceived, actualized, and written or investigated by the journalists themselves, instead of depending on second or third parties for information. But on the same, some of them were able to do that. And we are also taking note of some of the serious challenges bothering the Nigerian media sector. Issues of credibility or trust, issues of financing, issues of ethics, and then issue of safety for individual journalists. We know that investigative journalism is extremely risky physically, psychologically, and above all, sometimes it could lead to the ultimate death. And we know that no story is worth the life of any journalist. But that should not also be an excuse for us to appear weak. At the end of the day, the panel, while still being bothered by the issue of quality in the investigative journalism sector in Nigeria, we were still able to come up with some entries which we feel, if they are encouraged, certainly better things will come our way. On this note, on behalf of the panel of judges, let me once again thank the Wole Journalism Center for inviting us to participate in the process. Thank the finalists for submitting their entries, and above all, thank the various sponsors and supporters for their interest and support to the center to be able to do this job. Above all, thank you for your kind attention.
Online category. And is no other. Okay, let me invite Mr. Russell Brooks back on stage. Thank you very much. Online category. The Wole Soyinka Investigative Journalism Award. And is no other than Abdulaziz. Abdulaziz being represented. And invest for the same category this year. I hereby call on Mr. Lanre Suraj. Mr. Lanre Suraj. Soyinka Investigative Reporting Awards 2018 is Majid Alabi. In Osun State through the National Assembly's Zonal Intervention Projects. Today celebrated as the winner of the Prince category of the 2018 Wole Soyinka Award for Investigative Reporting.
For not giving up, At a time like this, many media awards have died, including the popular multi-choice award, African Journalist Award. We must commend the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism for keeping up the job. Today, I know a lot of people will be surprised that I'm dressed this way. This is very unusual. But it is dedicated to my father, who last Sunday clocked a year in his grave. I promised him something at the time he was dying, and I said your legacies will continue to live. His belief is in good words. His belief was in integrity, anti-corruption. He despised it, but we have told him that we will keep the flag flying. And I thank God that today we are still standing here keeping the flag flying. Before I go, two individuals in this house are very important to me. I don't know whether Mr. Nick is in the house.
And the winner in the radio category of the Wole Soyinka Investigative Reporting Award this 2018 is Chinelo Osarawa.
Bringing down the standard of the certificates obtained in the country in the eyes of other nations. To fight this problem, the recent discovery that answers to the ongoing NECA examination.
Radio for the 2018 Wole Soyinka Award for Investigative Reporting. I hereby call on Professor Ralph at
performance, first class honors class. ₦1 only. Congratulations.
She that was dreaming. Today is a great day in my life. And I want to return all that glory to this great God. For it is not by strength, it is not by might. It is just the Lord's doing, and marvelous it is in the eyes of this child of faith. It is what he said he would do that he has just done. And I want to return all that glory to him. And to thank all those that have supported you. We have an able supporter in our station. That is my former director, Mr. Ike. He came and he changed the situation there. He knows how to motivate people. He will see something in you, he will continue piping it until he gets to the crescendo. And that is exactly what he has done. And I will call him even here, immediately I took this place, to tell him what he has started, that the Lord has perfected it. And he called me the chief of the old block when people did not see it. But today, I know that wherever he is, he will be thanking God that today he's fulfilled.
category now. Again, there is no commended works, but there is a runner-up. And the runner-up for the TV category is Olaoluwa Azizat Abiola. government hospitals and extortion at the root of the problem. She reported that herb-based clinics charge pregnant women between 500 naira and 20,000 naira, while the alternatives can be higher. She, however, reported that poor government regulation was aiding untrained birth attendants to operate freely across the country. Aziza Tolaloa is today honored as the runner-up for the television category of the award. I hereby call on Francis Mami Watanabe. Congratulations. Thank you very much. A winner in the television category. Can we have some quiet in the house? Can we have some quiet in the house, please? The winner of the television category. The winner is Sharon Ijason. Thank you very much. Give me some concepts. Sharon Ijason.
African Bethel Public Primary School was founded in 1960. When I visited the school, which is about 3 minutes drive from the Lagos State Polytechnic in Ikorodu, students were still learning under trees.
Sharon Ijason is a labor and education correspondent at Television Continental TVC and a mass communication graduate of the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. Her two-part report, Funding Basic Education in Nigeria, aired on TVC, exposes the nonchalant attitude of states towards basic education, with a focus on 58-year-old African Bethel Public Primary School, the only public school serving 7 communities in Ikorodu, north of Lagos State. Sharon's first visit in December 2017 revealed that students were learning under trees, and parents whose children attend the school complained about the decay of basic infrastructure. The story led to 7 months of construction work on the school by the Lagos State government through the State Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC. And this outstanding piece is yet another proof of the need for urgent attention to education in Nigeria. Today, Sharon Ijason is honored for her ingenuity as the winner of the television category of the 2018 Wole Soyinka Award for Investigative Reporting. I hereby call for the second time, I'm sorry. Can we appreciate her as she makes her way? She's going to bring us a mentor.
story where, after reporting, follow up. This story, funding basic education in Nigeria, is one story that took a lot of my time, and it got to a stage that the headmistress of the school had to ask me, "Madam, what is your interest? Can you please stop coming back to our school?" But here we are, the students have a befitting classroom, befitting environment for learning, and that is what journalism should be all about. It's about making impact. So I would like to thank everyone seated there. I would like to thank the center. I would like to thank all my bosses and my mentor. Okay, so we want to give me a meeting, so I would like to thank them too. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, Sharon. Yes, well, she said that I'm her mentor. Perhaps I should give you a little bit of background. The project actually behind this story, we began it sometime in 2017. At that time, there was a training project, and some of us, and some of my colleagues here, we were mentors. And Sharon happened to be in my group. So this story began at that time, and we can see the result of it. So congratulations.
And we need more mentors.
A few days after the story
Is Cornelius Chukwemeka Emenike. Cornelius Chukwemeka Emenike. Artist with specialization in painting. Is the assistant chief cartoonist at the New Titles and Governors. Cartoonist at the New Titles and Governors was published 28 March 2018, following Senator Shehu Sani's revelation that each senator in Nigeria's National Assembly collects a monthly running cost of 50,000 naira. With the cartoon, Chukwemeka conveys the editorial. Starting his career as a trainee cartoonist with Punch newspaper in 1995, Bernard Omeke currently works as a staff cartoonist with the newspaper. Bernard Omeke's cartoon, Corruption in NNPC, claims stance of President Muhammadu Buhari on anti-corruption while a director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation NNPC by Mr. Ibe Kachiku, the Minister of State. Ask that we have a more silent oral, please. Those at the back, please. Kola Wole Aliyu. Kola Wole and the 2018 Wole Soyinka Awards. I hereby call on Mr. Michelle a handful, yes? There you go. A few words. Yes, please, thank you, sir. Whose media organization awards the NMMA every year? You can keep clapping while I speak. A man who is seen as a beacon of not only hope, but of excellence in Nigerian broadcasting circles. A man who employs only the best. And when we watch his TV station, we watch because we know it is very different. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, join me as I invite Mr. John.
I don't know what to say, but no problem. You can a question.
All right, Sharon. So, how do you feel winning this award?
Well, it's a lot because we all know that the Wole Soyinka. I didn't pronounce Wole well. It's a lot. I'm excited. I think this is a a step in the right direction, and it's also a challenge that I have to do more. I don't have to stop here right now. I would definitely have to do more. I would like to thank the management of TVC Communications, the CEO, the director news, my boss who edited the story, the assignment editor, to my colleagues also, all the reporters in the newsroom. We are all winners. This is for us, of course.
All right, so tell us about the state of the school that the report you did. What happened? What was the before of the school and the outcome of the report? What happened to the school afterwards?
Well, the background of the African Bethel Primary School at Iwekorodo, Ikorodu is one interesting one because when I started it with the reports in 2017 December, we found out that students were seated under the trees, and after the story was aired on TVC News, the governor of Lagos State, Governor Akinwumi Ambode, ordered that the school be demolished within 42 hours. After the demolition, I went there to take visuals of the state of the school. I also took the pain to ensure that I went to the uncompleted building where the students actually had to learn. And I had to do follow-up because I was concerned that these students were learning under the tree fine. Now that the school has been demolished, what is the next step? I would also like to thank the SUBEB Executive Secretary. He did a fantastic job. He's one man that did well on this project because he made sure that the stipulated time that the government promised to ensure that the school is rebuilt was actually kept unto. So right now as I speak, students of African Bethel School, Iwekorodo in Ikorodu, now have a befitting classroom, they have a befitting building, they don't need to study under the trees anymore. And for me, that's what I call impact journalism. And I also want to thank the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism because I had that scoop before I went for their training on basic education, but the training and retraining that I went through with my mentor also channeled and helped me on how to go about the story. So for we young journalists, I feel the veterans should open their doors so that we can learn from what they have, so that we can also pass it on to the next generation.
Thank you very much.
Are you sure? I would also like to thank the camera unit. This is not just a report by a reporter. There is no good story without a good cameraman. I know Omishore worked with me on that report. I remember Tunde Ennis worked with me. I remember Shegun. I remember Debuka. It's a teamwork, and I would like to appreciate my colleagues on this project. This is for us all. Thank you.
The story was about traditional birth attendants in Lagos and how Nigerian women, especially Lagos pregnant women, because they cannot afford antenatal care in most public hospitals, decided to sort for cheaper alternative to antenatal care. And so I discovered that many women, pregnant women in Lagos, and of course it's a testament of what is happening across Nigeria, were going to and are still going to traditional birth attendants. And I was able to discover that the man that was my test case, Tibale in Agege, would give at least 7 different concoctions to the pregnant women on antenatal days, plus one water called calcium water with stones and some other stuff inside it. Would give it to them to drink. And of course, I witnessed the delivery of a baby of one of the patients. I went to the naming ceremony. I really followed up on it, and that has really opened so many opportunities for me. And it was just about telling the story of Nigeria's failing health sector and what it's driving pregnant women to do. What it's driving, of course, pregnant women to do, like I said, in Nigeria, just to let Nigerian government understand that they really need to up their game in the health sector and make things better for Nigerians in general.
All right, so what was the outcome of this report that you did?
Okay, yeah, because of this report, an NGO reached out to me to further do another investigative report for them on traditional family planning providers in southwestern parts of Nigeria. I was contacted by another organization which thought that traditional people, generally practitioners, should be carried along by the government, since the government has somehow showed Nigerians that it cannot do enough in the health sector. Then regulate these traditional practitioners if you cannot do that. And so many other commendations really I've got from this one, and it's made me understand that no report is bad, no work is bad, so long you know it's driven towards changing the poor narrative in any society.
So how does it make you feel that you've won this award?
Yeah, well, as a news anchor, I'm excited and I'm honored, really, because, like I told you, as a news anchor, my primary responsibility is to read the news, deliver the news, probe the news, but all in the newsroom. And earlier this year, I decided to do more. Because of course I was a reporter before joining TVC News, so I decided to do more this year. And thanks to one of my bosses who gave me the story idea, I decided to build on it. And I said, because I knew that I was meant for much more than just reading the news, staying in the newsroom. So I decided to do this report, and I'm so glad that my first work, after about 7 years of hiatus in reporting, has got me this. So it's an encouragement that I need to build on what I've been able to achieve this year, and so that next year I will do more and then be able to follow up. You live, you learn. And not being a reporter, of course, not practicing reporting for so many years had its toll. But of course, I'm learning by the day, meaning that by next year, watch out for me. I could come back.
All right, let's speak to our husband.
Olaolu is his name.
Okay, so how do you feel your wife has won this award?
Like any other man would feel, or anybody related to her. I feel elated, I feel happy that she's won this award.
So I'm sure it has been stressful. Tell us the experience you've had so far as marrying a journalist.
Oh no, you wouldn't want to ask again. It's not been easy, Sometimes she's out of the house for 3-4 days. She's away. We have 2 kids. You can imagine what it means for a man. Without no help, we don't have any help at home. So most times I have to support. Sometimes, probably leave work early so as to attend to the kids, pick them up in school when she's away. And honestly, it's not been easy, but, God's grace has been sufficient for us, and then we're coping.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Insisting that things should be done rightly is seen as a crazy person. And sometimes you begin to even doubt your sanity. When people say it so much, that you have the opportunity to do things for yourself, to do things for your family, and you insist that things should be done rightly. But there's no way you can stay steady on this kind of journey without having the support from those who have come behind you, before you. If I'm standing here today, as Obama said memorably, and I can see this far, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants like myself and so many here who are in the audience. So I want to thank the people who have blazed the path that some of us are following our own humble example. I also want to thank my family and friends who are not making undue demands on me, are also encouraging me to stay on the same path. I must thank my wife, who is not here today, that you can do. I have to thank my friends who, rather than asking what can you do for us, they are actually saying, most of the people in the profession, some of you cannot remember, I actually started out as a journalist and I want to continue to live as a journalist when I'm done with this. Most of our editors, our lecturers like Professor Akifele, and others, thank you so much for clearing the path for us. I have friends, special friends, who are not, some of them are here. Simon Kolawode is here. Sheikh Adeni is not here. I saw Biola Adeni. People who rather than put pressure on you and say, how can we support you, including their own resources. Without that, we wouldn't have been able to do much of this. And also my immediate and extended family. The young man video is actually my kid brother, who got married last Sunday. So I also thank him. And the other member of the family, because when you get a political appointment in Nigeria, people expect you not just to do well for yourself, even when that contradicts the mandate that you have. They expect you to do well for yourself, but also for them and for your community. And when you don't do that, you're a bad person. You don't want other people to progress. And you're a wicked person, and you're a stupid person. So I thank my family for indulging me, my friends for supporting me. The last thing I want to say is that is not going to be an easy fight. It took us a while to get to where we have been today, and it took us a while to get to where we should be. But the trick is to remain focused, to remain steady. And also related to that is that the extractive sector does not belong to those who operate in that sector. It doesn't belong to the government, it belongs to the people. And for us to make this extractive sector, which still remains the backbone of our economy, to make it work for Nigerians, we all have a role in different ways to do our own part. If we want the sector to serve the purpose that it should serve, if we want to stop being the laughing stock of nations, anytime people are talking about resource costs, when they are saying when people are endowed with resources, it turns out to be a cost of them. And the perfect example that we usually cite in Nigeria, if we want that to stop, if we want these resources to be used for the benefits and the transformation of all Nigerians, we all have roles, big and small, to play. Thank you very much, and I hope
Thank you to say. Congratulations again, Mr. Zubia. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor, Journalist of the Year, chosen from quite a lot of entries. And the judges worked tirelessly to choose this journalist. Outstanding work, table shaking work, impactful work. And the winners. Drum rolls now. And the winner is. And the winner, Nigerian Investigative Journalist of the Year, Abdulaziz Abdulaziz. The panel commends the ability, tenacity, and for a diligent follow-up on the story, Abdulaziz today. For a diligent follow-up on the story, Abdulaziz today makes the celebrated list of the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalists or Journalism's Nigerian Investigative Reporters as its 2018 winner. Abdulaziz won the online category with his work, The Kemi Adeosun Expose. I'd already read his citation, and so I hereby call
Congratulations, sir. How does this make you feel?
Well, elated, also overwhelmed, because like I said, I believe that this is coming quite early. We've just started. We still have a long way to go. But I think rather than a personal recognition, it's also a recognition for the work that the organization that I work for has been doing. It's a very important piece of work in trying to beam the searchlight of transparency on a sector that accounts for the bulk of our revenues and for the bulk of our, our foreign exchange, and also to use that as a basis for demanding accountability from the government. So I think I will see it more as a recognition of the important work that my organization is doing, and an encouragement, to do more.
Today is International Anti-Corruption Day. Has Nigeria done enough in the fight against corruption?
Well, let me say first that the fight against corruption will continue to be a work in progress. If it were easy, it would have been done, as one person said. It's not something that you just bring out a magic wand and you wave it and it disappears. Corruption has different aspects. There's a part that has been internalized, there's a part that reflects in people's behavior, there's a part that encourages and endorses it, There's a part that is systemic, and there's a part that is about prosecution and about law enforcement. What I can say is that at the moment, there's a concentrated effort in making sure that people are called to account. More than at any other time in our history, we know that the culture of impunity has reduced drastically. The people who were previously untouchable, are being questioned. Some of them are being prosecuted. Some of them are being sent to jail. So we have come a long way, but that doesn't mean that we have won the battle. Like I said, it's going to be a work in progress. The good news is that I think the work is being done. But there are different aspects, like I said. There's the petty corruption, there's the grand corruption, there's the systemic one, and there are many things that you need to do in terms of behavioral change. There are many things you need to do in terms of putting proper systems and structures in place to make sure to prevent people from being corrupt, even if they make all the best efforts. And there's the law and enforcement part, which is when people commit bad behavior, they are made to answer to the law. So I will acknowledge that a lot is being done, but we need to keep at it. We need to continue to do it until the day when the incidence of corruption will be massively reduced in our country.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Anyway, I mean, it's Human Rights Day. It's not only the human rights are human rights.
No, I mean the government's responsibility towards the rights, securing the rights.
Honestly, I thought you were calling me out to talk about this because I actually
just
don't
as
have.
was mentioned, it's International Human Rights Day tomorrow.
Yeah, I wish Human Rights Day.
Okay, so investigative journalism. What's your take on this? You see a lot of stories that have made the news and even caused a public outcry and public uproar, caused a change in society. What do you think?
Well, they don't always cause a change in society. We have had to look at a lot of stories and to try to distinguish between those which expose things which need to be, which somebody is trying to hide, and those stories which just draw public attention to an issue of overriding public concern. Sometimes, in order to bring about the change, all that's required is that the searchlight of publicity is beamed on it. But sometimes there are things that are trying to be hidden. And of course, sometimes you have a situation, as we have with this story, which won the not only the online category but also was the winner or the overall winner, where something was being hidden, and then somehow it's as if the most important thing became the finance minister. But what we, the judges, felt was, and certainly we felt that the work that was done definitely required merited the prize. And I say that even though I felt, because a couple of days before the story broke, I had just discovered that the finance minister had gone to the same school in London as I had gone to, a government school. So I had felt particularly close to her, but nonetheless it was impossible not to give the story the top prize that it deserved. But at the same time, we also felt that the reason why that issue came out was because of the releases to the National Assembly. And we felt that that part of the story still needs some follow-up. So when the winner said that he intends to follow up, I think that we need to understand that following up is not just getting scalps of ministers, but actually bringing about change in the fact that the National Assembly is getting money.
So what would be your message to journalists? Because a lot of media houses see investigative journalism as very expensive.
Well, I think that the journalists themselves have to decide that this is a story that they want to follow through on. Definitely the media houses need to support their journalists if they are going to, and they need to, and when I say support, I don't just mean giving them time. They have to be ready to say that if we lose business, if we come under pressure because we are carrying this story, we are ready to stand by you. And I think that's where the gap comes in, that some media houses are nervous about standing by their journalists when they're uncovering what people don't want uncovered. So I think that's the most important thing. But at the end of the day, it's the journalists themselves who has to follow up, because we've had previous situations where I've been on the judging panel in previous years, where the journalist has had to leave their established media house in order to be able to publish the story that they have been investigating. So I think that the combination of the tenacity and courage of the journalist, but also the support and resoluteness of the media house is very important.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
For allegedly stealing 10 or 20 billion naira, those who are paraded are the victims of grand corruption. Armed robbery suspects, particularly, and kidnap suspects. But the saddest aspect is that after the parade, the journalists who covered the events never find out where the suspects are being tried. Majority of the suspects after the parade are extrajudicially executed. After the police would have obtained their PIN numbers, go to the banks and remove their money. In the current case of Evans, the fellow being tried in Lagos, contrary to his very misleading account in court, in an attempt to deceive the court, he did say that I came to the police station to look for him. No. Upon his arrest, and based on the information at my disposal, I issued a public statement that we would not want to hear that this one was killed while trying to escape from police custody. And upon reading that statement, the IG decided to put him in a protective custody. That is why the trial is going on. You cannot get trials of 5 armed robbery suspects in any part of the country. Yet this year, over 1,000 have been paraded. We are appealing to the journalists. Think of the right of these Nigerians to fair hearing. Because when you try them, and you as journalists now subject them to cross-examination based on the fact that the police are torturing them, and they are bound to just say whatever you want. And many of them, please, many of the suspects have nothing to do with robbery. And at the end of this parade, some of them are released. But you journalists must have damaged their reputation and expose them to ridicule before the whole world. So the point I'm making therefore is that yet that battle has been won. What is now left is for Nigerian journalists to stop covering the illegal parade of suspects. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That's a call to the media asking that we do things against the president and the government of the United States and reinstalled.
My name is Olaniwaju Suraj, the chair of Header Resource Center.
All right, so tomorrow is International Human Rights Day. And what's your take on the various human rights abuses we've seen lately?
The greatest in the military era, the form of human rights abuses we suffer were civil and political in nature. Today, the worst form of human rights that Nigerians are suffering are socio-economic rights. And unfortunately, we chased away the military and then had civilian regime from 1999 that is still until today. Rather than promoting the civil and political rights, at the same time the socio-economic rights, they actually were eroding these rights. And that is why Nigeria is presently almost the headquarters for most of the socio-economic issues that you will measure as indices for human development. Education, health, safety and security, and other indices that are used to measure human development in nature. Nigeria is completely lacking behind in all of them. As it is coming 2018, now going to end, it is actually expected that most of the resources of the country, stolen by those who we have entrusted with the resources of the country would be adequately recovered to be used for the purpose of the development and the socio-economic empowerment of the people of Nigeria.
All right, so what do you think the government should do? What can be done actually to, like you mentioned, socio-economic abuse of human rights? What can be done to sort out this problem?
The government must make all efforts possible to prevent corruption from rampaging the country as we've had in the past. The government must ensure that those monies recovered from those who have stolen our natural resources are used for the ultimate benefit of the Nigerian people and reverse the ugly trend of the socio-economic situation of the country. And the government must ensure that those who are also found guilty are made to face the penalties as prescribed in the law.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Well, it has added the necessary value to the practice of journalism in this country. And you know, journalists are regarded as the trustees of the public trust. We are particularly happy with the Wole Center for Investigative Journalism. And the stories that we have displayed this evening indicated so many things to us. The power of the media. And we are happy that government is responding one way or the other to some of the reports. And you also understand that investigative journalism is very hazardous. It's very expensive, very dangerous. But we have been able to see the element of thrust in the story presented today. We need more of this type of journalism. It's an adventure sometimes. Investigative journalism may move from being an adventure to misadventure. But we have to congratulate those reporters who are keeping the flag going. I want to journalism for an excellent job. And particularly today, I'm so proud of the honorary winners, Wasiri Adio and John Momo. They are all my former students at the University of Lagos, Department of Mass Comm. So today is a happy day for me to see two of my former students grabbing the honorary award for investigative journalism of Wole Soyinka. And we also want to appeal to Nigerian journalists as we move towards the election year. In fact, as we move to the 0 hour of the election, they need to be themselves. They need to practice journalism of conscience. They need to unchain themselves from fake journalism. And they need to practice journalism of conscience and remain as the trustees of the public trust. And you are aware that fake news is now coming, and for information, the concept of fake news is not new, it's not a new phenomenon. As it has been with us since about 128 years ago, precisely about 1890, that we got the first element of fake news. But in recent times, it came back through the auspices of the person I call the editor-in-chief of fake news. It came back through the auspices of the person I call the editor-in-chief of fake news. You know what that person is? I guess. That person is somewhere there in the United States. So we hope we'll be able to contain fake news. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is a program to celebrate that aspect of journalism. What's your take on this?
I thought it was a fantastic affair. We saw some excellent examples of journalism here in Nigeria, and the work of those brave journalists should be applauded. They should be encouraged, and we need more people who take the profession as seriously as they do, because we saw when malfeasance are exposed, human rights violations are exposed, the lack of education for some of Nigeria's children are exposed. That can lead to change for the betterment of those victims, for the betterment of the nation as a whole, and that will lead to a better Nigeria.
Also, for a lot of media houses feel that investigative journalism is so expensive. What would be your message to them?
They are correct. It does take a greater investment on the part of the media houses, both in terms of the time that the reporters or editors must put into the stories to ensure that they are accurate, that they are fair, that all angles are covered. So yes, it does take more time and effort, but as we also saw from the reports that were honored tonight, it's a wise investment. It's a wise investment in the media houses and their credibility, in the reporters in terms of encouraging them to rise to the highest levels of their profession. And it's a wise investment in the future of Nigeria, because only through the media truly rising to the occasion of being that fourth estate of the realm can they contribute to the improvement of their society as a whole.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Well, I think that is fared very well. It could be better, obviously. All things working well in the institutions that promote investigative journalism in Nigeria. It has its cost, of course. It has its toll on the journalists themselves, because there are a lot of disincentives, there are a lot of discouragement to people who do investigative journalism work in Nigeria. The environment promotes secrecy. The environment does not promote accountability and transparency in government. And it is important to make the point that because investigative journalism is not committed to government in a way, it can reach the extent that even anti-corruption agencies may not reach sometimes. It can focus areas that anti-corruption agencies that are established by government, funded by government, constituted by government may not want to look at. So it is important to realize that it can serve as a catalyst for the larger anti-corruption work, even of government institutions, instigating them to act when they will not want to act, and pushing the issue until accountability occurs. So it's something that we at the center feel that should be at the heart of the media industry. Yes, media practitioners and journalists, they entertain, they inform, they educate, but we believe that investigative journalists should be at the core. More so when our constitution, under Section 22, obligates the media to hold the leadership, to hold the government accountable to the people. And there's no other way you can hold people accountable. The media can hold people accountable other than through investigative journalism. So we think it's something that all should encourage.
All right, so International Day of Anti-Corruption. As the government came in on the heels of anti-corruption, fighting corruption, how far has the government fared?
Well, my view about the fight against corruption is that there's a progression, there's a movement. While it is true that individuals and persons in our national life had used their own resources to promote the fight against corruption, and we can mention their names. Some of them are dead now. Chief Gani Fayemi, Dr. Taishola Ari, Professor Wole Soyinka is alive. Many in the academia, Professor Ayodele Awojobi, who is also late now, and many others. While it is true that Fela Anikulapo Kuti using his songs to decry corruption, while it is true that individuals in this country have used their own resources, their talent, their gift, their time, their resources to fight graft in government and to fight corruption generally. It is true that it's in 1999, 2000 that we had the first attempt being made by government to create an anti-corruption institution with the ICPC and then later the EFCC. While it is a valid point to say that even that attempt was rather a tepid one, and that it was ironical that a personality like Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who was the butt of jokes in many of Fela's imperishable works against corruption, should be the person to establish the institution. But since that time, I think that these anti-corruption agencies have worked, they've covered some ground. Partisans and people that are hypercritical have made the charge that these anti-corruption agencies sometimes embarked on selective investigation, persecution of political opponents and enemies of government. But the broader view we take is that because these institutions now exist, if all and sundry continue to push for the independence of this institution, for their mandate to be made more robust, for them to be well funded, for them to shun duplicity, I think that we'll make a lot of progress. All over the world, political leaders who usually are the target of criminal investigation, particularly in anti-corruption cases, exert political pressure on anti-corruption institutions. It is so even in the United States right now with Trump. What has Trump done with the FBI? Removing his head. What is he doing with the Department of Justice in the United States? What is he doing with Mueller, the special investigator? So, and that's the United States. So we in Nigeria cannot just think that politicians here will not exert such pressure. All over the world, we have these pressures being exerted. The duty of journalists, the duty of civil society, the duty of activist lawyers is to continue to insist that the anti-corruption work of anti-corruption agencies must be more comprehensive, must be all-encompassing, and that there should be no sacred cows. So, the thing to do, therefore, is not to decry what is being done, is not to shame it, is not to poo-poo it, is not to deride it even. De-recognizing the work and sacrifice of those who are even working in these institutions. Some of their prosecutors face a lot of odds, face a lot of threats. If you're going to successfully prosecute as a lawyer to an anti-corruption agency someone who is accused of stealing 5 billion naira in a country where a high assassin could be given 200,000 naira, 400,000 naira to kill you, then you have to ensure that you are secure and safe. So they face a lot of odds without coming to the public to share their story with us. So we dishonor them, therefore, when we recognize them by saying, oh, this partisan, it's not serious anti-corruption work, and so on and so forth. There are some of the investigators in anti-corruption agencies that have gotten killed. Some have to move their families. And I'm saying this very seriously. So I think, therefore, that as we mark the World Anti-Corruption Day, on the eve of the World Human Rights Day, we must recognize that corruption, even makes robust enjoyment of human rights difficult. And I think that those who chose these dates, this is my assumption, must have something at the back of their mind in ensuring that these dates are so close to each other, 9th and 10th, because corruption impacts on everything in society so negatively that people cannot enjoy all the plenitude of rights that they ought to enjoy. For example, if the money meant for roads are stolen and the roads are not motorable, the fact is that that road will be more prone to accidents and loss of lives. And when people die on the roads, nobody gets punished immediately. People will say it's accident, they attribute it to accident without determining and discovering the remote cause that led to that poor state of the road, which invariably led to that accident. So that's just an example of how corruption impacts on our lives very profoundly, sometimes so terminally that the victims do not even live to tell the story of what corruption has done to them.
Thank you very much.
Okay.